Well, let's go ahead and get started. Usually, Katie, Whitney is on, and Whitney's our director of finance, and she's gotten very good at having music play and all that type of stuff, but she had a conflict today, so she didn't get to do her magic today of making all that beautiful stuff happen. And get started. Thanks for those of you that have joined us. I'm Amber Hefner, and I'm the Executive Director of Illinois Digital Educators Alliance. Excited to be here with you today. As always, feel free to put any information that you want to share about yourself in the chat window. I will be monitoring the chat window myself today. As I mentioned, Whitney couldn't be here with us today. So if you do have questions or comments or resources that you want to share, feel free to put those into the chat window. And I'm very excited to introduce our guest today, and I will give her a little bit of time to share about herself and the role that she has and where she's currently an educator at right now. So with that, Katie, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Happy, what day is it? Thursday? Happy Thursday. I'm sorry, I can't keep track anymore. I currently teach 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade computer science at University of Chicago Lab School. This is actually my 2nd year there, so I'm in a new gig. I still think it's new. The 10 years previous to that, I was a kindergarten through 8th grade tech teacher in Chicago Public Schools. And then before that, I was in a private school for 5 years. It's called Francis Xavier Ward, FXW, and it's in downtown Chicago. So I went from like a junior high math and science teacher to a tech coordinator / tech teacher to this computer science role. So that's kind of what's happened over the last like 17 years, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good compilation of experience for sure. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that you can relate, especially in that, you know, technology, computer science, and even on the science end. One of the things that we've kind of found is a lot of the activities that educators are doing right now are very science STEM related during this remote learning piece. So great experience for you to draw from. So thanks for joining us today, Katie. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, one of the things that we like to start off with is just kind of a synopsis of your experience of how remote learning has been going for you. And kind of maybe talk a little also about the setup that your district has chosen to go, like what does a week look like in your district, you know, and what have they chosen to provide for students during that week?
It's been a roller coaster. We went into thinking that this was going to be a 2-week situation, and we really, all of us left. Yes. We were one of the schools who went on spring break we were supposed to go on spring break, like it's like a Wednesday, like the 17th. And so the intent was, sweet, we're all going to go on spring break, and we're going to have a few days over spring break to plan, and this is just going to work for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden spring break hit, and it was, oh my gosh, this is going to be much longer. So big upheaval. We started with a 2-week plan, and the 2-week plan was to use Seesaw. And what we actually did is the school I'm at, there's a preschool through 2nd grade. Then there's the 3rd through 5th grade building. Then there's a middle school and there's a high school. So I'm in the I'm in the lower school with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And our plan of attack was to go with Seesaw, and we created 3 huge classes. So every teacher and every student was on 3rd grade. Every teacher and every student who taught 4th grade was on the 4th grade class. And then every teacher and every student was on the 5th grade class. And the reason why is none of our teachers had ever used Seesaw before. And it was crazy when I heard that. So I actually had to train all of our teachers. Even though our students had been using Seesaw with me, the teachers had no idea how to do it. So I had to do a lot of training to get them up and running. But anybody who's used Seesaw before, you know, with 17 teachers on a class, that's hundreds and hundreds of posts that you have to sift through. So after the 2-week period, and we realized this was going to be long-term, we switched everybody to individual classes. So we're now on this individual class route. That started as of week 3. And then come week 4, we introduced Zoom meetings. And so week 4 started where homeroom teachers, the idea was they would have a opening meeting, a closing meeting to close out the week, and then small group meetings throughout the week. So a full class of students at the beginning, the end, and then small groups throughout the week. And then all special area teachers were asked to touch base with their kids once a week. So I think it's a little crazy personally, but kids have anywhere from like 10 to 15 Zooms per week, which I think is a lot.
Oh
now, everything is optional for the kids, so they can pick and choose what they want to do each week. So that's nice, but it's a lot. So we are on currently week 5 of this kind of new plan where we're all in individual classes, and the kids do receive at Monday their Zoom schedule. So they have it on one piece of paper, all the Zooms they could attend with all the links, all the passwords. So it's really nice and organized for them. And we've seen a pickup of who is attending Zooms now that they're organized for them. We've seen a pickup of kids doing more work now that we went to individual classes, because it's a little bit easier for them to organize and figure out what's activity for which class. And if you ever used Seesaw before, they get these little red numbers that say how many notifications or how many activities they have. And some of those kids had like 100. And so now it's a little bit better when they only see 3 in a class, and much less anxiety for the students. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We actually we started last week doing full school assemblies using Google Meet. And so they're just like live things. So we do Friday, Fun Fitness Friday, where everyone's invited to work out together. We just had a big library presentation this morning at 9 a.m. and all the kids got together, and we actually got together with an author, the Fan Brothers. They did this presentation about their book, Oceans Meet Sky, from last year. And then our music teacher does music sing-alongs. So those are kind of the things that the teachers who teach hundreds of kids obviously can't Zoom with all those kids individually. And so they are doing more of these huge group live meetings. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. I love the idea of the schedule given out at the beginning of the week with everything that's going on. I personally am very much a calendar person. So like, I'm sure visually that I would love that as well. But I think so then like your hours, for instance, would be posted on that, and then the students could choose to attend during that time with you, for instance, or, okay.
Yep. And the way we did it is homeroom teachers are all in the mornings. So from, 9 a.m. to like 11 or noon, depending, that's like homeroom time. And then from 1 to 3:30, that's special area teachers time. And we all are kind of assigned days of the week. So science and computer science, we're assigned to Tuesdays to try and help the kids keep a normal schedule, and also to help us so there's not 15 on one day. And so like I always have to Zoom with kids on Tuesday. So I have a ton, like I go back to back to back with all my grades in all my classes, but that way it's just easier to schedule, because it's a mess. I mean, this is nuts, and it's nuts for families to try and keep on top of the Zooms. It's hard.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I like that idea of, kind of chunking it like that. I think that's a great idea. And then the consistency, of it basically from week to week. So I also love the idea of the full school assemblies. So are those spread out throughout the week, or they're always like on Fridays?
So we call them community gatherings. Those are on Thursdays. Community gatherings are currently, there's a group of kids who usually run them at school. So this is something we usually did in person, but it's just turned to these live streams, and the kids run them. And what they're doing is basically just showcasing anything that's going on in the homes. So a student at home could share, like their family put together a puzzle, or their family went on this awesome bike ride, and so they can share that. Or it's possibly stuff that we're grabbing from Seesaw. So if a student posted an awesome video about like a book read or something, we go in and steal that off of Seesaw and share that with the kids on the community. So those are every other Thursday. Every Friday though is Fitness Friday. And so that is every Friday, like 2 or 3, that get everybody together to exercise. The other fun one that started was Fun Fridays. And so on Monday or Tuesday, a video comes out for the theme of Friday. And the idea is to get everybody in that attire or that outfit or whatever it might be. You take pictures, and then all those pictures are going into a Google folder. And there is one person who makes a video off of those pictures and puts it to music for the next week, but also you can go into the folder and just look at all the pictures. So last week was, I think sports teams was last week. So we all dressed up. I mean, people are dressing up their dogs, they're dressing up their kids, their babies. And so you're getting a lot of family pictures, which is really cool. And then this week is each school got a color. So lower school is green. So everybody's just like going to go with green hair and face paint and just kind of, you know, like the spirit weeks we usually do at school, but just like another twist on that.
Right. I like that. And shared Google folder where they can all go, and then creating a video from that. And then I assume there's like some music with the video or something that they're creating and using.
Hat Day, what is it? Purple Beret. Is that right? Is that what I'm thinking?
Oh, yeah. The Prince song.
That's the song that went with it. So that was awesome. But yeah. Or no, Raspberry Beret. That's what it is.
Raspberry Beret. Yep. That's awesome. Very cool. Cool.
Can I ask a question about?
Hi, Margaret. Sure.
Hey, so on these big days, you say you just take a picture, and what do you mean taking the screenshot, or the person, you put their picture up big, or how do you do that?
Good question. So it depends on the person. There's so many different ways. Like some people are pulling out their old school cameras. Some people are using their phones. Other people are like in Zooms. So we have a couple classes that would be in Zooms, and then the teacher takes a screenshot of the Zoom picture with all the squares, so you can see all the kids in green. And basically what there is a Google folder that's shared with our school community. So you have to have the ending email that we have. So the @UCLS dot blah, 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 to get into the folder, because it's not like anybody in the world could get into the folder. And then we can just go in and anybody can upload their photo to that folder. And then there's just this amazing gal who volunteered to take all the pictures. And so she gathers them on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday she works and makes a video and then releases that video on Monday to the entire community.
Okay, so I just got off of a Google Meet where we were talking about the counselors, you know, what will we do to engage the kids and get them, and we were actually talking about a lot of these different things. And I said, oh, don't do pajama day because we can't stop the kids from coming with certain type of pajamas. So we were just thinking up themes, and I was just wondering, like you promoted it by sending it out to each class, or?
Do you have a platform you're currently using to communicate to your kids?
Yes, we have our website, but that's another thing. We don't have like a
Google Classroom or? Yeah,
we do have Google Classrooms. So each room has a Google Classroom.
So I would do that if you have homeroom teachers. And hi, Margaret. When you started talking, your face got bigger, and I noticed who you were. It's good to see you.
Okay. You know, I thought I was thinking, did she move to the suburbs? Because I thought you were in the city.
Yeah, I was.
You did our ICE presentations, right?
Yep. You got it.
I knew it. And I was like, wait a minute, it sounds like she's at a different school. Okay.
I am. But so what I would do for you guys, because you're still in CPS, correct?
Yep. And I'm in a big school. Like, you know, we have, you know, without saying the name of the school, the pods and 1,600 students.
The kids would love this. So what I would do if I was you is I would put together like in an email to your homeroom teachers, or if you have advisory teachers, however you do it at your school, like a sentence or two about what you're doing, and say, for Fun Friday, I want all you to wear blah, 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 take a picture of yourself and then share it back through Google Classroom. And you can have that folder. And since it's CPS, you could make it so they have to have an @cps.edu email to be able to upload to that folder. And then you can collect all those into that folder.
But would the kids be sending stuff, or just the teachers?
It's up to you. You could do it either way. The kids could send them to the teachers, and the teachers could have access to that folder to put them in if you don't want the kids to have all access. Another way you could do it is you could create a Google form. And when you do the Google form, you have that option to upload a picture. So you could have the kids upload the picture through the Google form. So that way they're not in the full folder seeing everybody else's picture if you want, because of, privacy rights, depending on, the CPS privacy rights,
well,
obviously.
You know CPS.
Yeah. So I might choose to do it that route, not give the kids full access to the folder, have either the teachers do it, but right now they're so swamped that you might not want to give them one more thing to do. And so creating a Google form puts the work on the student or the family to upload that image. fairly easy to do. They would just type their first and last name, maybe type what grade or what homeroom they're in.
And then, how are we getting it to them through the Google Classroom?
Yeah, for you guys, if you're using Google Classroom, I feel like that's the easiest way to get that message out to those kids.
Okay, the kid, of course, the little kids aren't using it yet, so it's just too much. It's just.
But because at least we did this when we were in CPS. We had our homeroom teachers had an email list of just their families.
Yes, we do.
So I would say, if not Google Classroom for the little kids, have the homeroom teachers shoot out just an email to the families in their homerooms or their advisories.
Okay. Oh, that'd be good. We're doing this as, the counseling department, and
That's awesome.
We're trying to, we just got through talking about it just as soon as, and I popped on this, and then here you're talking about it. And we were just trying to get the kids to just, the morale to feel better. Of course, some schools are not getting but like maybe 5 kids on it, and at our school, some of the teachers are getting like all 30 of the kids.
That's awesome.
So it's a big bunch, but maybe if we even try it with a couple of kids, we wanted to do it like a whole school, but that's a big school, but just listening to you to see how it's done.
Google Form is the way I would say, send it out via Google Classroom or email, and then Google Form to collect all the info.
And the teacher, oh no, we'll put it on the teachers on the Google Classroom, and they would do it. And then, or either when they meet up one day, everybody can, like, even when we have one, we can have probably make a screenshot or do something.
Yeah.
And they send it to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was really surprised the first week there was very little pictures, and then when people started seeing them each week, it's like gained momentum, and more kids and families are taking pictures, and like they're now starting to go all out. So I think it's really a fun thing to do that I think people really appreciate.
Okay.
Your school's stuff, I would say like the spirit wear of your own school that first day, like a color for each like grade. We did sports day, we did funny hat day. Those are the 4 that we've had so far.
Okay. Yeah, I mentioned hat. I remember I know the pajama one. I was like,
yeah,
no,
we said we're not doing that either.
No, because we can't control
them. Yep.
Those are great suggestions. And I agree wholeheartedly. I can see kids really gaining a lot of momentum. And, we keep talking about how students are missing seeing their friends. And, I was just thinking also, Katie, when you originally brought this up, how you really are even growing that community piece even more as kids are getting, like you mentioned, kids are dressing up their dogs or their cats are in the pic, so now you're even learning more about those students, and the students are getting to learn more about their friends and their peers and what, that's like. So I love those suggestions. So thank you so much for sharing.
Just another idea. This is something that we have not started but it's been thrown out there, and I think it sounds cool. I'm not sure how it's going to handle, but we're going to ask people to, if they are willing to, have a cooking show. And so if a family has a family recipe they would like to share, have like your family members together as a community in your kitchen cooking that, or like putting the finishing touches on the recipe, and then making like a little video or a picture of it, and then sharing that at some point.
Yeah, that is great. I had shared the other day that even my freshman son is learning a lot of different things like that had the situation been in place, I probably wouldn't have taught him how to cook this or how to cook that, or how to make hummingbird feed, the sugar water mix. So yeah, and highlighting those, and those will be memories those kids will have, and those families will have as well.
Yep, definitely. And it's I don't know, people can totally disagree with me, but the SEL piece of this whole thing to me is so much more important at times than, some of the actual content.
Yes. And that's what we were talking about. Yes.
So true. I'm actually serving on a ISTE coalition group right now, and I actually got put into the sub working group for SEL. And definitely an area that I think was just starting to get momentum of being addressed in schools anyway. But now clearly is becoming, quickly rising to the top of the importance of addressing that all the time, but in particular during situations like this. So with that being said, Katie, are there any specific ways that your district is addressing that, or, kind of like that community, like how are you ensuring that you are staying in contact with, I would like to say 100% of the students, though near to impossible, but as many students as you can?
Well, one thing we were doing as a lower school, I can share, and then I just learned actually in a meeting yesterday about what our whole school is doing, which I think is amazing. There was a group of parents who volunteered, and they are literally calling every single family to check in on them, just to say, hi, do you need anything? Are you okay? So I feel like it's a group of like 20 families, parents that are literally going through nursery through 12th grade, every single student. I just think that's amazing. And they're just kind of checking on them. As a lower school though, we created a Google Sheets page. And what it is on the left-hand side, it has all the kids' names going down. And on the top, it has all the teachers who teach that child. So each week we have to fill it out. And all you do is you do a little check mark if you do not hear from them at all. And so we're really trying to pay attention to, like, kids are kids. If they love art, they're going to do the artwork, but they might not do my computer science work. I get it. It's totally fine. But I want to make sure that at least they're doing something for someone, and we at least know that. So because I teach about 420 kids, and that's how many are in the lower school, it's a lot to, as Margaret would know, to keep up on all the, like as a counselor. And so she has tons more. So this checklist helps the counselors then look and see, okay, whoever has not been seen by anybody, then they're doing a double check and reaching out to that family to say, hey, are you guys okay? What's going on? What do you need? And so it's because before it was like this teacher was emailing this counselor and this teacher was emailing this teacher, homeroom teacher, and there was no communication. So that's why we went. Exactly. Yeah. And some were emailing like the assistant principal. And so it's now on one Google spreadsheet, and everybody just has access to go in and check off. And it's easy for teachers because it's literally just a click of, I don't know if you guys have seen in spreadsheets, you can now add check boxes. So it's just a click and a little check shows up. So it's I don't know how new a feature. It's new to me. I just found it a couple weeks ago, but that's how we're trying to help with that piece.
And even something simple as just you're checking those that you haven't been in communication with. Like visually, that makes it, I'm sure a lot easier to look at, and again, former school counselor myself, Margaret could look at that and say, oh, wow, yeah, there's several, there's several checks there of who hasn't been, seen. So that's a great, easy, simple, but very important tool that you're using.
And for, Chicago district, and of course I'm in a pool where I can get information from, 20, 30, even more clinicians, and we're having meetings and we're doing things. And even for my school, they have on our citywide system, they've created a tracker. And so each teacher, and this is citywide, each teacher has to go in and they have to put down who came to class today and who didn't come to class. And so for my school, when they started missing certain students and they never checked in, they sent out a letter, and then the clerks, they would, call the families to see where they were at. And then for me, if some of them I had to go to the house. Even though it was Corona, I still, I was able to go and beat the horn
Because you're amazing.
Yeah. I know all these kids for many years, so I kind of know the areas and where they live at. And so, I just would either, one family, the security guard went up and knocked on the door, and then the mother was able to come down. But yeah.
That's awesome. That's great that you're doing that.
That is making that contact.
But it was social distancing, but I still was able to contact. And then sometimes I took, like, I'm going to go right now because the security guard, I'm coming back. The security guard is going to bring me actually a tablet for one of the kids who hasn't gotten on in a while. So I'm just going to run and get the tablet. He was at school,
awesome.
so he'll bring it to me and then I'll take it to the kid.
That's cool.
Right.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Well, we are about halfway through, so always about this time, Katie, I always just like to open it up and see if anybody else has questions. So if there is anybody else joining us live right now, feel free to come off mute if you would like to ask a specific question, and or as always, you can put it in the chat window as well. So Katie, one of the things that I kind of wanted to chat about with you as well, of yours, is in regards to kind of the makerspace piece, that, you know, hands-on making philosophy, and if there's ways that you are able to integrate any of that into the remote learning that you're doing with projects or, you know, activities with your students as well.
It's funny you said that, because I was actually told I had to be completely offline as a computer science teacher for the first few weeks of teaching, because we thought the kids would be online a lot, because, you know, parents were like, I just need 3 hours, go watch a movie. Like, I just need to work, or whatever it might be. And so my first week's activity was just create a robot. I don't care what kind of robot, create some kind of prototype. And I gave them the option to, like, you know, get reusables around the house, or draw it if you prefer drawing. So just something very, very simple. Yay, she got them. So it was just the idea of something really simple. However, it was very interesting how much pushback I got from families about we don't have these kind of materials to make robots. And I'm like, no, I'm talking like toilet paper rolls, and I'm talking like, you know, paper, nothing in like big or anything like that. So my second activity for the week was also offline. It was a computer scavenger hunt, where I asked the kids to go on 2 walks, 1 walk around the house and then 1 walk outside in their neighborhood to find computers, and to either take pictures of the computers or to make a list of the computers. And then they were going to upload and share them with me. That one was a little bit better, except for the families who, there's some kids who are not actually going outside. Families are, you know, really scared and not going outside. So they only did the inside part. And, you know, we always get pushback from somebody or someone, you know, from our group. But so now I'm allowed to go back online. But I'm kind of torn, because I would like to stay offline, because these kids, even though we're trying to keep them offline, they are online so much. And also, to me, being online is very hard when you teach computer science, because at least for me in a classroom, when kids are programming, I am constantly on the move from child to child to child, because they have tons of questions, or they're helping each other next to each other. So now all of a sudden they're siloed working on this by themselves, and it's not easy programming for little ones who are new to it, or, you know, have trouble reading. So I know, I'm sorry, I'm totally segueing off of your question. So I'm actually,
you're good.
I'm actually having a really hard time with this as well, because I want to go back offline and do makerspace stuff. But you have to think of very minimal stuff, or I should say needing very minimal materials, because we cannot assume that anybody has these. I can't assume that people have the money now, because so many people are laid off, to like go on Amazon and buy even sequins or beads. So all the activities type things, what are happening is, and I'm kind of collaborating with the science teachers for labs, is we're creating an activity that could be manipulated 17 different ways. For example, we did an activity where, you know, you take the gummy bear, you put it in the water, and you identify what happens. So that was the example we gave them, but we're like, find anything in your house, find a chip, find a chicken McNugget, whatever it might be. So you have to kind of think, these people have no materials to do this stuff. So what is the simplest thing? And I'm not there yet. I don't know. But I was told, why don't you start a makerspace club? And I'm like, I don't even, yeah. So I'm still in the thought process of how that could actually look.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think it's, you know, there is a lot, like, I love the idea of these different types of projects that you're talking about, and, you know, simplifying a robot. You know, what could a robot look like based on what you have in your house? But I can see some families feeling concerned about that because, to be honest, we're so used to those types of projects being glamorous, right? Like, I always felt so bad for my kids when they had to do the solar system project because I was not that parent that helped my kids do it. So my kids came in with a wire hanger and, you know, yarn hanging off with wadded up paper, you know, and then everybody else had these like fantastic, fabulous things. So, you know, I think it's a transition for families to think, you know, okay, wait a minute, you know, this doesn't have to be something that I spend $100 on, you know, my kid creating. So I think that's, but challenging at the same time to find different projects that could be done at home with everyday materials.
Yeah. So my new thing is more so, what can we take from our garbage? Like what kind of activities can we have the kids make literally from our garbage or recyclables? And so that's kind of where my mind is shifting, but I'm not totally there yet. Because you want to do something that's fun for the kids.
Right.
That they want to do then. So, so that's been a hard one.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead.
Nope, go for it.
Well, no, I was just, because you had mentioned that you're collaborating with a science teacher. So I was just wondering, you know, what are the other areas that could get involved in this? Like, you know, is the reading teacher or the math teacher able to collaborate on something where it's a project that all of those content areas are collaborating on a big project?
Definitely possible. I think it's just really hard right now because you know how long collaboration meetings take. You know, it's multiple meetings with teachers for hours when you're trying to do a really good job of collaboration. And I'm finding it's very hard to get more than 2 or 3 people to collaborate together, just because you can't find a common time. Certain kids are dealing with their kids, others are dealing with students. And so what we kind of said is computer science and science, we kind of scrapped everybody else. Not that we didn't want to be a part of them, just like it was just getting too much and too hard via Zoom and trying to figure it out. So we just kind of teamed up together and we are trying to work together. So it's not completely siloed 2 different subjects away from homeroom.
Right. Absolutely. No, that totally makes sense.
What I was going to share is that I was going to pull up in my email real quick because I just got an email out and I don't know if it's official yet, but if you've heard of Fab Labs, Fab Lab is like a awesome makerspace educational piece, but they are talking about doing a virtual maker ed unconference. And I don't know if the intent behind it, which I'm assuming the intent behind it would be to help us figure out what are some maker things we could do in this situation. So it looks like, again, it's called Fab Lab. They're amazing. But they want to do a virtual maker ed unconference. And so they're looking to see if people would actually be interested. And then if there are enough people interested, they're going to start putting it together. So I can share that in the chat or share it with you. I don't know if you,
in the chat would be great.
You take notes. But
yeah, if you don't mind putting it in the chat window, Katie, because everybody will get the curated resources and information out of the chat window when we send out the recording. So that would be great.
Hopefully this link will go through and then people can respond if, let's see. Nope, it didn't come through as a link.
Yeah, so actually what we have found is, I think you have to put the URL in there.
Yeah.
Duh. No, it's fine. But yeah, so Zoom isn't allowing like actual hyperlinks in the chat window anymore. So even if we put a link in, you still have to copy and paste it into your.
That's annoying.
Yep. Yeah, it really is.
Do you know if Google Meet is allowing that? I'm not for sure. Because
no, Google Meet is still, I was actually on a Google Meet with my team this morning and they were hyperlinked in the chat window.
Okay, because that was one way I was telling some of my colleagues that they could actually put the link there. The problem was with the students having to share this, like the tabs, because some of them, you have to go from looking at the the shared screen, then you got to jump over to the tab. Like if you're doing a whiteboard or you're doing a jam board, you still have to jump over to another screen. And with a cell phone, we didn't realize that it's not that easy to like switch from screen to screen.
Right, definitely.
But telling people with different phones, well, push this piece and push that piece. So that's been the biggest thing. Just the tabbing. If I can find something where they didn't have to, switch around.
My biggest piece that I'm trying to tell kids is to see if they can go side-by-side screens where they shrink the Zoom so it's half of the screen and then they have the internet open on the other half.
Right. And that's when they're using the
yes, a device that's not a phone. Yeah.
But the phones, many of the students in Chicago are using phones. We found out that it's been a phone thing, and it's that's all we can do. So all of these good ideas about these whiteboards and jam boards and things that you can kind of hook up on, it doesn't work because they can't flip back and forth. So we just went back to old, pencil and paper to get everything done.
Absolutely.
So the link's in there for you guys, but also Margaret, I put it in my email for you. I saw that you needed it, so it's in there.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm always going to the ICE. Well, it was the ICE, but the IDEA. So I'm just loving these meetings that we have and learning so much. I'm trying to become like the kids told me when I do my conferences with them. They said, we're going to be a YouTuber. And I'm like, what is this YouTuber? And so now I'm going to be a YouTuber. I'm going to start. I want to do kind of instructional videos for my colleagues because
got a website for you, Loom.
Yeah.
Have you been doing this? So I just ran across Loom as well, Katie. So if you are familiar with it, I would love to hear some more about it because I haven't dived into it yet.
And that's what I was going to ask, has anybody, because I have my microphone. I bought this fancy little round microphone and I probably don't need it, but, and I'm thinking about the background. It's so much to think about when you begin this tutorial, these live videos, and you got to get used to looking at yourself.
Yes, you do.
Because I'm like, oh, Jesus.
So there are 3 different websites that I've used. I've used Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic.
That's the one I'm loving right now.
And Loom. So I currently use Screencast-O-Matic because you can switch between your full screen, a part of your screen, or your webcam can take your video. I have not played around with Loom enough to know if Loom gives those 3 options. The thing that's nice about Loom is that when I'm doing in Screencast-O-Matic, when I'm showing the kids something on the screen, they just hear my voice. But in Loom, it actually puts your face, a little video of you in the corner, like saying whatever you're saying or pointing to something. So it's not just your computer screen, it's also your face, which is, I think a lot of kids really enjoy that.
Right.
So I've fooled around a little bit with Loom, but I stupidly, before I learned about Loom, I purchased Screencast-O-Matic. And so now I feel like I have to keep using it because I spent the money on it.
But Screencast-O-Matic has that feature too. You can have the little Screencast-O-Matic. One of the things that I wanted to do with Screencast-O-Matic is because I wanted to sort of brand or put your name there on the videos.
Yep.
And so it does have the ability. I looked at a couple of things, just the ability to bring in the words and kind of transition things in. And even though it's not a branding per se, things still can be transitioned in so people can see, your name or who's done the video, that type of thing. I was looking for those things in particular.
Stop me if I'm misunderstanding you, but what Loom does is, see how like at the top of our screen right now, there's that little square of all of our faces?
Yes.
There'd be a square like that of you, like being live while showing a website or while showing a video on your screen. And you're saying Screencast-O-Matic puts that?
Oh, yes. You could put it at the top. Listen, you put it
Thanks.
because
I gotta figure that out.
No, I'm going to purchase the screencast mat because it did more, and it was more kind of aligning with Adobe, like an Illustrator.
Yep.
We use that in our computer lab, and the teacher would teach them how to make the videos with pictures, and they would put all the pictures together, make the video, but you also have the little screen at the bottom where you cut and paste and you put things in. The thing that I just haven't played with it enough, but I want to put in, have you ever seen people do, they're talking, and the next thing the instructional video might come on with Richard Byrne in it, and he's doing a video, then it goes back to you, and then it goes, so you won't have to recreate the wheel. So I think it's a way that you can upload videos, and it is, you can upload videos, you chop it up. Like you talk, and the video comes in, and then you can even put in Screencast-O-Matic. They have like little, it's a name for it, but like fire might be in there for a little while, or you might see birds chirping.
Oh, it's like special effects. Okay.
But for silence, when you have silence in your videos, you can just actually put something like that in. So I've really been playing around with that. I just haven't produced a video on it, and I have.
So yes, you can totally make a YouTube channel because you can put all those videos on your YouTube channel, and then
exactly.
And I'm just playing around with it because so many people, especially clinicians, they're like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? What is this? Well, and I'm finding out, even with my husband being a math teacher, just how much some of the students don't know. Like he said, well, push a link, and they might, well, what are you saying? And we just take it for granted that people know what a link is. You just see a bunch of numbers, but you didn't know that they're in like maybe, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and they haven't used the link yet. Not yet.
Right.
So,
little short tutorials like that the kids love them.
Right. So, just, working with the Screencast-O-Matic and trying to help and stop recreating the wheel, because a lot of people are asked, how can I engage a child in social emotional learning through this, and we're not allowed to use Zoom. We can only use Google Meets because we're a G Suite school. And so, just being creative, thinking of things when I thought I had a bunch of answers, I forgot the toggling of the tabs. You may do Kahoot, but if the kid has to go to see you on the full screen, because they have to see the question in Kahoot to put the answer. The only way they can see it is they got to go back to your shared screen. So they have to toggle two screens. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But of course we can read books to students online, and the book can show, and they have a lot of the video books that you could do, but just thinking up a lot of social emotional things. Right now, Google, since they put the ability to put a link directly in the classroom, they just kind of rolled that out. I think that's a game changer for clinicians, because students, you don't have to email all of that and put the emails in. We can just actually have every week, here's the meeting link, put it up. And then, the kids will come, because we have to get.
It's easy for them to find it then too.
And we have to get kids to not think that, they don't want to come to your Google Classroom because it's synonymous with doing work. And so we're trying to get them to say, no, we're going to have a virtual meeting or a virtual party like your school is doing. So those are some, cool ideas that you brought up.
It's crazy.
Margaret,
Sorry,
I don't
Amber.
know. Oh, no, you're fine. As you guys were talking, I was thinking, I should probably remember to do a shout out to my team for what they've designed for some of what you guys are talking about. So I just put the link into the IDEA home learning page.
Yes.
And if you go there, we do have the calendar that we've been creating and it's split by elementary, middle, and high school. And we broke it up for a 5-day week. So each week we put in some kind of social emotional learning activity that could be done at each grade level. And then the other 4 days were split up for the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity. But again, they are designed by grade level, so elementary, middle, and high school. So there is some SEL stuff there.
That's really cool. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, yeah. And then we also put together, and I'll put the direct link to it in the chat window as well. But we also did a specific SEL framework.
Can I just totally be rude and interrupt you and say the activity Life in Memes, create a slideshow of popular memes that describe our current situation, create an intro slide that summarizes the times in 10 words or less. That is amazing, and I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we put it here. So yeah,
That's a
good.
really cool idea. Sorry, I totally interrupted you.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine. So the other link that I just put in is the specific framework that we did. So this framework is all every day, some kind of SEL activity. And again, it's a spreadsheet. So if you go to that spreadsheet, you'll see at the bottom, there's the elementary, middle, high school, higher ed activities and opportunities for learning. We've had some districts reach out to us and say that they have sent their district or their teachers directly to this framework, and they're utilizing that specifically for all of their SEL activities right now.
Did you put it on there yet?
I did. It's in the chat window.
Okay, let's see. I have the one.
It's the bit.ly.
Yeah, the home learning webinar recordings.
Yep. So we have that, and then right underneath that one, Margaret, is the SEL learning one. It's a bit.ly, bit.ly/.
Oh yes, and
Yep.
is it in ideas for elementary social emotional learning? Mm-hmm. Okay, communication, collaboration, and they're in different colors, I guess.
Yeah, so I think you're looking at the calendar that's on the website.
Yeah, that's what you're seeing.
Okay, but then there's also, if you go back to our chat window in the Zoom right now, Margaret.
I am.
Yep, so it's the very last URL that I put in there. If you copy that one.
I'm putting that one in now.
Yep.
Okay.
So then that brings up a spreadsheet.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yep. And then within that spreadsheet is additional social emotional learning activities and ideas. Again, if you look at the bottom of the spreadsheet, you'll see the elementary, middle, high school. So we tried to come up with activities that would be specific to those age levels as well.
Super cool. I'm going to totally share this with our counselors.
Yeah.
And so is this posted in like a Google Classroom, or how are you disseminating it to the people?
So right now it's just on our website, and so we're directing people to our website, or directing people, or if they reach out, if we get somebody that emails us specifically about SEL, we'll share that framework with them as well. But we're just trying to push people to the home learning site as much as possible to explore the resources that we have there. And
then the people they just decide how they would actually utilize it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'll share that also. We're just trying to do something to try to keep the kids together. Of course, by me giving direct services, when I, touch out or to one of the kids or reach out, it's just with the 8th graders, just knowing what's going to happen. Will we have the graduation, just everything.
Mm-hmm. So I saw an email that Dr. Ayala, our ISB State Superintendent, just put out, and she specified absolutely no graduations are allowed at this time. Not even, I know some districts were even talking about kind of like a drive-through graduation.
Right. The virtual ones.
Yeah, so she's basically saying nothing physical at all. The only thing that they're recommending or allowing are any type of virtual ones. So my heart goes out to all of those seniors that are, you know, missing out on those opportunities. That's tough, and hopefully, I know there are some districts that have said, you know, let's tentatively set a date for August, and you know, see what things are like then at that point. But yeah, definitely tough for those types of, you know, culminating activities from many years of, you know, hard work.
Right.
So,
right.
Well, we are down to about 5 minutes left. And again, I just want to make sure that if there are questions, feel free to ask. I can't believe an hour has gone by already between the notes that I'm trying to take and the conversations and resources that get shared. This is the fastest hour of my day. So, thank you so much for sharing that. Kind of how I always like to just finish our sessions, Katie, is just with some words of wisdom or inspiring thoughts from you on, you know, kind of where you think we've been, where you think we're going, or just if somebody were to ask you for a piece of advice, what would you give them during this remote learning time?
Man, it's scary. I have so many. I would first say slow down. Start simple, especially if it's tech and you're implementing something new with tech. Start simple, start slow, and ask for the kids' feedback. Put together a simple Google form to the kids with either just emojis or yes, no questions, like asking them if it worked, it didn't work, do they like it, do they not like it, before you go and make this huge, intricate another lesson. Because, you know, we can make all these videos and make all these awesome things, but if it doesn't really work for the kids, then you're spending so many hours doing it. So just a simple follow-up from the kids through a survey to me has been so helpful. So that's one thing. The second thing is more on the SEL piece. I sat through a talk, gosh, was it last week? I can't keep track of time anymore. I think it was last week. And it was this Institute for Social Emotional. I'd never heard of them before, but there's an Institute for Social Emotional Wellbeing. And they were talking about teacher well-being right now. And that that many of us are not realizing that this is true trauma. And we are not taking to heart that this is true trauma and that we are all going through grief, whether it's grief of missing our students, whether it's grief of working or whatever it is. And that many of us are just pushing all that aside to keep plowing through and trying to do what we can do for our kids. But they're basically saying that if we keep doing that as teachers, we are going to either explode or fall down, or it's going to be worse. And so they're basically saying, they're like, you got to let it out, find, you know, that close friend or that close colleague that you can just go cry with or scream with or whatever it is. And it was just a really interesting piece to hear that this is true trauma that we're all experiencing, and that we're all going to be going through the phases of grief in some form or another, and to acknowledge that and be okay with that. And like, I feel so fortunate in so many reasons that I'm lucky I still have a job. And right now my husband and my child and I are not sick. And so there's so many things fortunate, but it's okay that we are still allowed to feel upset and feel grief. And just, we're allowed to, even though we are so grateful for things, it's okay to still feel upset and angry and pissed, for lack of a better word, about things. So I just thought that was interesting. And the meeting I was in, all of a sudden teachers are just crying online with all these strangers. No one knows each other, but everybody was just like letting it out. And it was very therapeutic. So that's my SEL piece for teachers. And the last thing I was going to say is that this, to me, as a tech teacher who often helps teachers integrate tech, it's been really cool to see all of a sudden how many teachers are grasping the technology and excited about it. So I'm curious when we do go back into the classroom, how many people are going to be embracing all this stuff and want to try even cooler and newer things since they kind of got their feet wet. Well, they had to get their feet wet. But now it's like, okay, I want to keep going. So I'm intrigued to see like where this takes us tech-wise with teachers who before maybe were scared.
Right. And never did basically anything. I mean, you know, some people never even, they didn't have a reason to use Google Classroom.
Yep, exactly.
So it's really amazing that how much is happening and how many people are learning. But it's you know, the teachers are one piece. You got that whole other group that nobody knows. So, and that's why I always come to you guys, because I learn so much. It's really a beautiful network of people.
Well, good, Margaret. We appreciate that very much. Guys, Katie, you did a great job of sharing a lot of things, and it's a great transition into what we are hoping to do next week, is really focus on the educator themselves during Teacher Appreciation Week. So we have some really fun, exciting things scheduled for next week between some of our Be Live events that Lindsay's going to be doing, including some self-care stuff, yoga, meditation, and then we have our trivia night scheduled. We're going to do a webinar giveaway day. So some of our partners are, you know, providing some things that they're going to give away to teachers during that time as well. So hope to see you all on those sessions next week to celebrate you, the teachers, the educators who are on the front line and doing a lot of this work. And as you well said, Katie, you know, this is difficult, and this is grief, and we are dealing with a lot right now. So take a little time to acknowledge that and give yourself a break as well. So thanks again for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend ahead. And I did just put the link in for the professional development hours for today as well. Katie, make sure you fill that out too, please. So you get a 1 hour of professional development for today. So just copy that bit.ly in, put it into URL. It's a Google form. It'll auto send you the evidence of completion that you need for the day. So thanks again, everybody. All right, greatly appreciate it. And Katie,
thanks, Amber.
Yep, absolutely. I'll get you some feedback here pretty soon. Thank you so much, Margaret, Paulette, Susan, Robin, Jeannie. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.